Okay, guys. Becoming Muhammad Ali, and we are on round 3. All right. Did I mention I always wanted to be a writer? Maybe you guessed it since you're reading this, written by Lucky, or I guess I could say by Lucius Wakely. Sounds more writerly. But luck definitely played a part in me becoming a writer because I was lucky enough to know Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. Cassius would be the first to admit that he didn't like to write or study. He showed me his report card once. His average grade was 72, which was just about passing. He got a 93 in metalwork, though. I guess you could say that he was good with his hands. I was different. I liked school. In fact, I bawled like a baby if I didn't get a 100 on a test. But Cassius wouldn't let me cry about stuff like that. Dried up, Lucky, he'd say. School ain't life. Once I got a B on an English essay and I knew it wasn't fair, Cassius made me walk right back up to the teacher after class and argue with him. I went back and forth with the teacher for a half an hour, but in the end, I got my A. You got it 'cause you deserved it, said Cassius, and 'cause you didn't back down. Cassius didn't like to read much either, but he really liked being read too. Sometimes we'd sit together in his front yard with his little brother Rudy, and I'd read from newspapers or magazines or comic books, especially Superman comics. Cassius loved Superman. Loved him. He loved that Superman was stronger than everybody else. He loved that he was world famous. He loved that he defeated villains and that people called him a hero. Truth, justice, and the American way. That was Superman's motto. Cassius loved that part the most. There were times growing up in Louisville when Cassius was my own personal Superman. One day, the three of us, me, Rudy, and Cassius, were walking down the street when a car rolled right up next to us. It was so close I could hear the radio and smell the cigarette smoke. The car was filled with young men, white men, and I guess they thought that they were on the street that we shouldn't be on. A man in the front passenger seat leaned out the window. "This ain't your neighborhood," he said. "You boys are in the wrong place." Then he flashed a knife, a switchblade. I was really scared. So was Rudy. Maybe Cassius was too, but he didn't show it. He stepped right out in front of me and Rudy. "You dumb enough to try something with that knife?" Cassius said. He looked right at the guy, staring him down, daring him. It was hot that day. The temperature inside that car must have been triple digits. The guys were getting mad because we weren't moving. We were just standing there. I saw the guy with the knife say something to the driver and the car engine stopped. Then all 4 car doors opened at once. Cassius turned to me and Rudy. "Time to go," he said. Cassius was brave, but he wasn't stupid. All we heard was, "Hey," as we started running. With his strong legs, Cassius could have been home sitting on his porch before Rudy and I got to the end of the block, but he slowed down so we could keep up. There was no way that he was going to leave us behind. My friends, everybody's got a nickname on our block. Rudy is sometimes Hollywood on account of Daddy naming him after one of his favorite movie stars, Rudy Valentino. My best friend Ronnie is Ronnie because that's how his grandmother screams it from her living room window when the street lights start flickering. "Ronnie!" Lucius is Lucky. On account of the summer he fell through a plate glass window. Not a scratch was on him. And then the next summer he crashed his bike into a parked car and flew over the car into a bed of hay in the back of a passing pickup truck. We call Corky Butler Chalky, but not to his ashy face, 'cause he's strong as a mountain lion, meaner looking than a jackal, and he gives out black eyes to boys, and some men too, like candy on Halloween. We got Jake and his brother New Boy, who both sing doo-wop in a group called the Blue Tones. And there's 2 Bubbas, one short, one tall. Big Head Paul's got a head big as Battleship. Cobb, a.k.a. Little Man, is 2 years older and 2 feet shorter, but got a real job and new clothes and new shoes and a bank account to prove it. When they see me coming, it's always, "We should call Gigi, the black Superman." Faster than a speeding bullet. We shot marbles, playing touch football in the backyard, stickball out front in the street, hide and seek with the girls, see who can spit and spit the farthest, pretend they're Jack Johnson knocking out the Great White Hope, and run races in Chickasaw Park. But my favorite game is when Rudy throws the rocks at me and misses, 'cause I duck. It's so fast that I make him call me Donald. Jump so high I can nearly touch the sky and grab a cloud. It's a bird. It's a plane. Card trick. You got some speed on you, Cassius, Granddad Herman says, after we finish pulling weeds from his garden. He shuffles the deck of cards and tells me to pick one. You remind me of myself running bases. How good were you in baseball? I asked, pulling the king of hearts and sliding it back in so he can't see it. Better than most, he answers, throwing the cards all over his kitchen table. Good as Jackie Robinson, I'd say. Could have been. Really? Could have been as good as cool Papa Bell, Josh Gibson, and all them other players you ought to know about, too. Did they play in the major leagues? You writing a book or what? He says, shaking his head and telling me to pick the cards up. Conversation with Granddaddy Herman. Shouldn't you head home with your brother? He's got to do homework. Mama Bird stays on him. What about you in school? Your lessons important, you know? I know. I get by, I say, handing him the cards back. That ain't enough, Cassius. Life ain't no crystal stair. What's that mean? It means you gotta work twice as hard to get half as far as the rest of these folks out here. Can I ask a question, Granddaddy? I don't know. Can you? Why'd y'all name me and my daddy after a slave owner? Boy, you got some learning to do about baseball and your name. The original Cassius Marcellus Clay wasn't no slave owner. In fact, he freed all his slaves on the Clay plantation, including your great-granddaddy, my father. Then he went and fought for the Union in the war. You and your daddy's named after a man with principles, probably the only white man I ever known to be good. Now, know who you are, Cassius, and those you are, and whose you are. Understand? Yes, sir. Now, I know you hungry, 'cause you always eatin'. So go ahead and get some of my cookies and leave me 3. Thank you, Granddaddy. Get a glass of milk, too, so you can get on home. I can stay a little longer if you need help around here. I got stuff to do, boy. Better tell you what, while you eatin' all my snacks, I'll tell you the story of Tom the Slave, and then we'll get on home. Deal? But what about my card? You mean the King of Hearts you're sitting on, he says, smiling. That same night at bedtime, I tell Rudy about how Tom the Slave escaped to freedom by hiding in a casket on a ship of dead bodies on its way to London, England, and how when he got there he became a famous bare-knuckle boxer who would have won the heavyweight championship of the world if 100 Brits hadn't gotten so mad that he was beaten their fighter, and that they rushed the ring in the 9th round, clobbering Tom and broke 6 of his fingers. That ain't true. You calling Granddaddy Herman a liar, Rudy? I'm just saying, you think it's a real story? Probably. I don't know. It's a good one, at least. Why didn't he fight with gloves on? You writing a book or what? Rudy, before we go to sleep, pick a card. Ritual. I practiced card tricks every night on Rudy, even stayed up long after he fell asleep trying to find the right card, trying to prove to myself that I was smart at something. One Friday after school, me and Ronnie and Rudy were out running the city bus heading home. Figured we'd save a 10-cent fare for some finger snaps at Goldberg's. When I took a detour and told them, hey, let's go to that hamburger joint over on Broadway. We sat in Rainbow splitting 2 cheeseburgers and fries, me joking about Ronnie's bald spots from the terrible haircut his grandmama had given him, and Rudy winking at every girl that walked by with her mama. When in walked tall Bubba, who we hadn't seen since the accident. They were playing ball on Virginia Avenue, our blocks against theirs. It was me and Ronnie, Short Bubba, and Lucky against Cobb, Big Head, Paul, Jake, and Tall Bubba. Rudy was still sick with chicken pox, bad, even though our neighborhood told us we could cure him by flying a chicken over his head. Cobb's block always beat us, 'cause Big-Headed Paul was a 3-sport legend in the West End. I mean, he could hit a rock with a pencil, and Tall Bubba from Smoketown had arms so long that he could probably box with God, and he caught everything. And then Cobb pitched me a fastball that I cracked so high it went way over Tall Bubba's outstretched arms and landed inches from the storm drain near the corner of 36th and Virginia, where it slowly rolled in before he could grab it. Tall Bubba was the only one with arms long enough to reach down the drain, so he did, and no sooner than he screamed, "I got it, fellas!" it blew up right in his face. We used to smell gas all the time around there, but none of us ever figured it was anything that mattered. We never saw him after that, until we sat in Rainbow splitting 2 cheeseburgers and fries, telling jokes and winking at every girl that walked in by her mama, until today. Conversation with Tall Bubba. "Hey, Bubba." "Hey, Gigi." "The fellas are over here." "Yeah, I see 'em." "They fixed the gas leak." "That's good." "I heard the city's gonna pay you for what happened." "No, they ain't even calling my daddy back." "Well, that ain't right." "When you coming back to school?" "I've been doing school at home. Teachers come to my house. Don't want to be seen looking like this." "You still cool as pool to me, Bubba." "I kind of look ragged and old with no hair and a busted up face." "A little mature, maybe. You still tall, Bubba, though. Still too slick for tricks." Thanks, Gigi." "Well, what did you get on your report card?" "How am I supposed to know that? Report cards don't come out till next week." "No, they came out today." "They did?" "Yep. I'll see you around." Report card Friday. "I gotta go," I hollered to the fellas. "Gotta get home and get to the mail before my daddy does." Ronnie sat there laughing at us and finishing the rest of the juicy cheeseburgers with pickles and loads of ketchup by himself. See, he'd been signing his own report cards since first grade because his grandparents couldn't read so well anymore, but my parents could. "Come on, Rudy, let's split." School. Big Head Paul was the smartest of us all, and his hand was always the first to go up when a teacher asked a question about trees or bees or oceans and seas. Science was his thing. Ronnie always brought peaches and pears from his grandmama's backyard for a teacher, so whether he studied or not, he always got decent grades and even made the honor roll once. Lucky was what you would call a natural genius. He knew a little bit about everything, and he loved to talk as much as I did, but his claim to fame was that he could sell mostly any word in the English language, or he could spell mostly any word in the English language that he could read real fast, which came in handy, because I couldn't do either very well. In the 2nd grade, we were sitting in circle time, taking turns reading Fun with Dick and Jane, and it was my turn, and I swear the F in fun turned upside down, started floating off the page, and then some of the other letters inside the book started playing Ring Around the Rosie and switching their order. Jane said ran, became rain, said Jun, and then that didn't sound like it made sense, so I didn't say it. Then the F came back, but it was dancing around so much that I started getting dizzy, and my stomach hurt, and some of the kids started calling me dumb, and I almost threw up right there in the middle of 2nd grade circle time. So now I just try to memorize what I hear, and I make up what I don't. Failed plan. I ran home so fast I couldn't see my big toe starting to bust out of my shoe like an inmate in prison. Rudy was 2 blocks behind me, so when he finally walked up, winding and holding his chest like he was going to collapse in our front yard from running so fast, I was sitting on the porch scared straight because our mailbox was empty. Conversation with Mama Bird. "Gigi, come in here." "I thought you were supposed to be trying harder." "I did. I understand everything we're doing in school mostly. It's just sometimes—" "Don't make excuses, Cassius. Your father won't like this at all. You know that." "I know. They gonna fail you if you keep getting these kind of grades." "I'm not gonna fail. Grades don't make the man makes the grade." "Double talk not gonna make them stop thinking you dumb, Gigi." "You think I'm dumb, Mama? Of course not. I'm just hoping you know you not." "Mama, I came in this world smart and pretty, and I'm gonna leave it that way." "Well, this weekend you're gonna go see Miss Alberta Jones and see if she can help you out with some of your subjects." "Yes, ma'am." "Now go on and finish your chores before dinner." Mama, I'm too old for chores. Rudy's the youngest. He should. Gigi, am I too old to cook dinner and wash your dirty drawers? No, ma'am. Then neither are you. Now you best stop yapping and get your skin thickened up, 'cause your daddy will be home soon, and you're gonna hit the roof, and he's gonna hit the roof when he sees that report card. Turning point. Daddy came in the house, not like he usually did, flirting with Bird and talking all loud. Now this time the storm door shut, and he came in the house slow, like a preacher walking into the pulpit to deliver a funeral eulogy. I heard him drop his art tools at the door, and then heard Mama's footsteps, so he made her way to him. Rudy and I sat at the dinner table. Me, not sure how long his hollering is going to be when he saw my grades. Rudy sneaking the bite of the cornbread from his plate. When he finally saw his head peek around the corner like he was looking in a coffin, afraid to see what was there, he motioned for us to get up, so we did. Boys, a giant tree has fallen, is all he said, hugging us like he'd never done before. I was 12 when I was so fast I could dodge rocks and snatch a fly out of midair. When Rudy caught chicken pox and tall Bubba lost his face chasing a tennis ball. When I almost failed out of Madison Junior High and decided I was going to make a lot of money so my children wouldn't have to watch the world from behind a fence. When I learned how to shuffle a deck of cards with one hand and make the King of Hearts appear in the other. I was 12 when my daddy came home and told us that Granddaddy Herman was, God rest his soul, dead. And that's round 3.